guys that aren't familiar with the voice, this is Anthony Schweitzer. Also have Patrick Mann, which is our Commvault whiz kid,
Hey guys.
here with me. So, yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, we've been doing Commvault tech forums and cities in the Midwest, twice a year. And this is kind of an extension of that. We talked about it a little bit at the last tech forum that we wanted to do a deeper dive around Office 365 protection. We didn't have enough time in the last tech forum to really get that accomplished. So that's what today is. So before we get started with the main agenda, I just want to quickly touch on who Eagle is for those of you guys that are not aware of who we are. So the main takeaways really is we've been around a long time. We've been doing this a long time. I always joke, I wasn't even born yet in 1981. So to me, it's been a really long time. I don't know about Patrick. Were you alive in 1981?
Yeah, just barely. Yeah, barely.
Okay. Very nice. So obviously in technology, that's a long time, right? A lot of things have changed over the years, and a lot of things really have changed just in the last few years. We've seen that with the revolution that SSD and other flash technologies have made, and where it's really just completely shifted the data center. How cloud has come on board and really changed things as well, which is, again, what we're going to talk about today. So really, if I had explained to somebody who Eagle was in 3 words or less, I would tell them we're data center experts. You can see there on the right a list of focus areas, and really to sum it up, anything data center related, anything data related, please reach out to us. We love having these conversations. We try to not have just surface level conversations. We like to get in the weeds and really nerd out on some of this stuff. It really is conversations that actually excite us. And so we love talking about it, and there's a passion there. So please reach out if you guys have any questions or any thoughts or any projects coming up. We're happy to kind of see what we can help with.
Yeah, Anthony and I were talking this morning about how we love to do this kind of stuff. So definitely, we're here to help. Yep.
So I don't know if you guys have thought about this before, but you're not the only ones getting called by vendors. As much as they want you to buy their product, they would rather have someone else do the selling for them. And so we actually get approached by vendors often and reapproached by vendors often to talk about their product and tell us how great it is and why we need to, tell all of our customers about it. So because of that, we try to go through a vetting technology or a vetting process with anything that's brought to the table. Does it complement our portfolio? Is it in our area of focus and strength? Can we go in and beat this product up for, a while in our lab and try to break it to find out, where some of those deficiencies might be? I think back to specifically a couple of storage platforms that we've done this with. Nimble Technologies is a good example where we beat that up and really wanted to make sure we understood the architecture of the operating system, talk to the founders, things like that before we really put our name behind it. Datrium is another product that we did as well. And then Clouding is a recent product that is now powering our cloud environment that, again, we took a lot of time working with their development engineers to break the product or try to break it. And we're excited when it didn't break, and it's, wonderful technology. So we really pride that. It allows us to go deep on our core products. It allows us to to understand the product enough to really do a lot of architecture work up front with you, do discovery work, and then not only bring a solution to the table for you, but make it turnkey where we will do the install, the implementation, the training on that product, and then the support afterwards. So,
and we don't stop at that vetting, right? We continue to, we have new products that we vet, and we continue to just offer the best of breed in the solutions that we offer. So, we've been a Commvault partner for 14 years, and you'll get into that, but that's not because we haven't looked at anything else. We continue that vetting process over, perpetually to make sure that we're still offering the best of breed products.
Yeah, great point. I'm really, in a nutshell, if we're not using it and we don't find value in a product, it's going to be difficult for us to try to convince you that it's a great need for you. So, the products that we talk about and offer, we're running as well in our data center. So we realize also that even though we work together with you on a solution and select the best solution for your environment, from a technical standpoint, that it doesn't always mean that we've satisfied the considerations that your boss cares about. We realize that sometimes, your C-levels speak a different language and almost seem like they live in a different planet than the engineers do, right? They have agendas and things that they're trying to meet. And again, it's not always the technical standpoint and a technical win that has to happen. So we try to bridge the gap there for you, hence the slide and the little visuals there. But really, what we are is a mediator or translator, where we're trying to help you find the best solution from a technical standpoint that is going to work for what you need, but also help give you the ammunition to help with, up the chain and make sure that it's, mitigating risk and dealing with the business goals that your C-levels and bosses care about. So really, our motto is people making technology easy. And we believe we do that by selecting these best of breed products, understanding them well, being able to deliver those, implement, do the services around it so that you guys really end up with somewhat of a turnkey solution and some training as well in that process so you can utilize it day in, day out. But if a problem comes up, we're also there as a single point of contact for support. So again, we want this to be a long-lasting relationship where you trust and lean on us, so that we can be that trust advisor. We can be, a lifeline for you again, and try to simplify your life, because again, infrastructure, you need it. It needs to operate well, but that's not what your business is focused on. Your business is focused on, gaining ground in certain areas that, and it's not just infrastructure focused, right? So, Patrick alluded to this, our Commvault relationship since 2003. That's a long time as well. But, not only do we, this is the only backup product that we really support and sell. It's the one that powers our cloud, powers our environment, our managed services. We have a lot of certified professionals on staff and engineers, both from the sales side, from the architecture side, from the implementation side, support side. We're fully vested with this product. And we do level 1 support. So customers can go to Commvault directly for support, or they could come to Eagle for support for really the same price, where we now offer that extra level of, familiarity with your environment. You get to know our guys, and they get to know your environment versus some random person you might be reaching out to that, doesn't really know anything about your environment. So not only, again, are we just focused on products and making sure we're vetting it out and finding solutions for you, we really like to educate. And this is just one of many events that we'll do. We do webinar events. Sometimes those are easier for customers to attend, and it flattens your day easier. You don't have to travel for it. But we also do in-person events, whether it's just at different conferences, users groups where we're giving a presentation, or where they're a focused conversation like our Commvault Tech Forums. So if you're not aware or not coming to any of the Commvault Tech Forums that we're doing today, please reach out to myself, Patrick, or Gail Boyer. We'd like to get you on the list so that you could come. And the point of those events is really a community of Commvault users that all are, have different environments, different things going on, but coming together where you guys can get those cross relationships and talk to other people about what they're doing. And then we're trying to get deeper into the technology and be, a help for you guys. It's not focused on sales. It's really focused on more technology from a Commvault perspective, from storage, from other things that, your backup environments rely on. So,
yep. And when we get everybody in a room, it provides us an opportunity to discuss challenges and solutions. Anthony and I don't have all the answers, right? We don't run into a specific issue with Hyper-V that you might have, and getting in a room with another person that's running a Hyper-V virtual server agent, and them saying, "Hey, I've had this problem and I've solved it," may get you down the road that you need to get to. So that's another great benefit.
Yeah, exactly. Those tech forums aren't always all roses, right? we want to talk about how great Commvault
Yep.
is, but obviously every product has challenges, right? So it's nice to be able to touch on those as well, and have maybe a line back to Commvault headquarters where we can also get some of those concerns raised. So here's a list of some of our primary vendors. Again, if any of these things are of interest to you, please reach out. But really, we'd rather you reach out with specific product or projects in mind, because one of these products might meet your need better than another. And so we try to look at a project holistically versus trying to pin this product into your environment. So again, the earlier you can talk to us about a project, the better. That way we can really look at it holistically. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to Kevin. And Kevin is going to give a little bit of background about himself as well, but he is Commvault Whiz, another Commvault Whiz, right? That's going to really do kind of a presentation on different protections that we can do with Commvault and hosted solutions, as well as kind of a deep dive walk through some of this stuff. So if you guys do have any questions, there's a Q&A area that you can post those questions. Patrick and I'll be moderating those throughout the event, and we can interject and have Kevin answer it, or one of us will answer it. So please post those questions. And then also we're going to have a poll. Let me get the poll set, and for you guys to answer this will help us to kind of get an idea of who's in the crowd. So go ahead and take a minute to answer the polls while Kevin introduces himself, and we'll get rolling. Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Patrick. Real quick, I want to say just a shout out to Eagle. They've been just phenomenal. They know Commvault back there and just do a wonderful job of that, and I really appreciate those guys. Anyway, real quick from my perspective, who I am, what I've done. I actually forgot to put a slide up on me, but I care less sometimes. But anyway, I used to be a Commvault customer, so I used the product from about 2010 till early 2010, all the way to about mid 2012 or September, and then I came over here. And I've been here for 6 years now. So that's why I got into Commvault. We ran a data center, about 800 virtual machines, 802 or 3 or something like that. A lot of Oracle databases on the back end. That was our main infrastructure. We were a hosting service, so we hosted blood databases for hospitals and blood banks and stuff all around the world. So it was 24/7 shop. I rarely got any sleep. That's why I took off. But anyway, but one of our environments out there was Exchange 2 as well. And so I wanted to talk with you in regards to how Commvault can specifically integrate with Office 365. And this is one of the things I really liked when we switched over to Office 365 and got out my lab and everything else. It just took one of those burdens off my back to have to manage and stuff like that. Let them manage that, but at the same time, let Commvault be able to fully protect that, do all kinds of legal things with it. So anyway, I want to talk with you. I'm going to show you some slides, but I also want to show what this looks like. So it's going to be a very interactive session here. So if you guys got any questions, just shoot them up there. So I'm going to kind of start off with just the Office 365 portion with Exchange Online, with SharePoint Online, and also with OneDrive. Kind of show you how that all works. And then towards the end, I'm going to bring up the compliance piece, which is, I think, this is going to be, our integration with Office 365 is phenomenal. It works really good. It's actually really simple to set up. But the search piece, the compliance piece, which we have later on, it just makes the product shine immensely on there. That's one thing that's going to, so I'll show you what that looks like and stuff. So really the first things, and you guys, I'm not sure if you guys are using Office 365 now, or if you're not, regardless of the case. So what we're going to look at the three main pieces of that. There's some other ones like Yammer and Skype and stuff like that that we can actually get into as well if you need to go that route. But primarily we're looking at Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive on that, and see how that all works. So this is some of the things you always get from people, and I was the same way back in the day, because cloud was kind of like, oh, we know cloud is just a bunch of hosted servers sitting over there, and we're just accessing it in a different spot. So, but what's happening now is a lot of people out there are thinking, oh, okay, we're good. Our backups, we're good to go. We don't have to worry about backups. We'll have email for 5 years. We can always get it back, and if we need to, and stuff like that. Also, if there's a problem, we'll just call the help desk. We'll be able to fix that and everything else, and it can take a while, and stuff like that, that kind of thing. So you need to worry about that. And also geo-replication. The data is replicated. So, Office 365, I've been running it here now for about 2 years, and I think it's been down maybe a total of about 25, 30 minutes. So it's been really, really pretty solid. It's because it's replicated everything else. But there's some things out there you just kind of got to make sure that, are you truly protected if something were to happen on that, even though all these little features are built in the back end, that kind of thing. So what Commvault does, and it looks like the slide is not doing its little thing, that's okay. So from Office 365 perspective is they're going to be able to replicate your data all day long. So if this site part goes down and you can still access your data, it's all fluid behind the scenes, and you don't see anything, but you still get your email and everything else. But the problem with that is if you have a virus or something bad, data or something like that comes up for whatever reason, it gets replicated too. So there's no real point in time recovery that you can get your data back. So that's where Commvault's going to come into play. It's going to be able to get those point in time recoveries of all three of those products in there. So that way, if something does happen, you get a virus or some bad data or something like that, you can go back to an earlier point in time to recover that email, not only from an admin perspective, but also from an end user, which makes it much easier to do. I guess it's click the mouse button for some reason. There we go. So just like the Office 365 makes things a lot easier. I think if I'd have had this back in the day, I'd have been like, oh, this is great. We don't have to manage the Exchange server anymore. This is really, really cool. So, but we didn't. And but that's what makes it nice, is you don't have to worry about hardware on site. You don't have to. It's really simple to manage. I mean, you go to the admin console, and I'll show you what all this stuff looks like here in just a second. If you guys haven't looked at it, but also, we got a pretty decent sized mailbox out there. And it's relatively cheap. I mean, I got an account I'm using just for my demo lab, and $150 a year, and that includes the entire business suite that they had, separate domain I set up and everything else. So it's pretty inexpensive. Well, it's one user, but overall, pretty good on that. Now, what the biggest things you need to worry about, though, and this is, let me bring up these guys. I should have just took out the little animations on there, but is, as I talked about before, is what happens when it gets beyond a certain time, you need to recover data, or you got a corrupted file, or you got something, a virus or something like that. What do? That's where Commvault's going to come into play. What happens if you want to set up different retentions for different people? Maybe you got some temporary workers coming in. They only need to keep their email for so long, but you have people who have been there for a long time, and you have 5-year retentions. How do you set up retentions of that data to be able to keep, and also whatever target you want to keep them on? So we're not only backing up data in Office 365, but you can put that data wherever you want to. You can put it over in another cloud site. You can put it down back home, or whatever you want to do with that data on there, and to be able to work with. And also be able to really truly set up a contingency plan should something happen on that, and also be able to dive into that data via search, e-discovery that we have built in. I'm going to show what all this stuff looks like here in just a bit. One thing, you guys probably seen this before. I know this is not really here in the United States yet, except California. They just implemented it. But GDPR came out middle of May, or was it May 25th, something like that, of this year. And what it allows end users to do is be able to basically control their data on websites out there, or any company that's hosting their data, or whatever in some format. That what we can do is be able to help them, the company that has a presence in Europe. So if you're a company, you have an office there, you have customers there, you're going to be under this GDPR. There's some legal issues running around up there, like who is what and whatever's whatever and stuff like that. But if this comes to the United States, then you're already ready to go with Commvault on that. So what it allows you to do is we're going to allow you to go on there and find the data, either as an end user, or a user can email you and say, get rid of my data or whatever. We'll be able to find all that data that has anything related to that end user on there, and for you guys from perspective. And you can actually go wipe that from the backups, the archive data, anywhere it's at, all within Commvault, and fully be able to search on it, find it, tag it, all these different things on there. So that way, if GDPR comes to you you're going to be fully equipped with Commvault to be able to make that happen, and actually pretty fast in how this all works. Now, that's one of those things I'd probably want to show in a different webinar, because it can get really in depth and different things. So maybe we'll look at the next time. But I wanted to at least bring that up because it does have a lot to do with email and also some of the data that you may have in OneDrive and SharePoint, stuff like that. So this is just some of the retentions that we have with the Exchange and also with OneDrive, SharePoint. Is Microsoft by default has like a 14-day deletion policy. So after 14 days, it goes away and you can't get it back. You can actually go up to 30 days, and there's actually cases where you can go up to 60 days now for retention. But that's great. I mean, if something happens within that time period, you can get it back and just fine. Go to your recover folder and retrieve it. What happens after that amount of time, whatever you're set up to, is you can't get it back. So that's where Commvault wants to come into play and be able to allow you to get that data back whatever time it's back. You can have it for 5 years. It doesn't matter. And we're going to be taking off the data off that storage area that Microsoft set aside for email and putting it wherever you want to on there. Like I said, you can put it in Azure Cloud. You can move it back to Linux Cloud. You can move it back home. Whatever you want to do, we can fully move that data and keep it moving in life cycle, as you will, continue through the process on that. And same thing with SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. And these guys here, this is where you can get a lot of that corruption, a lot of that virus file that may be good in there. This is where that point-in-time recovery is going to come into play. It's going to be very, very critical for you to look at. And also, we're scanning all this data for e-discovery purposes as well, too. So email includes the email and the attachment. So I'm going to show what it looks like here in just a minute. I know I keep saying that, but I want to talk, kind of at least talk this through and show you what it looks like on there. So just some best practices out there for cloud on there just to look at. Make sure you have backup copies outside your production system. So if you're in Microsoft Office 365, you want to keep it in Azure, that's fine because it's actually spread out, geo-replicated, the backup data is. But some people like to keep a different cloud site or bring it back home in case they have, let's say the internet goes down for some reason, they need access their email as a local, some old email before the backup is done. They can actually log in and access that with Commvault on that, so you lose your internet connection. But also looking for, just be able to leverage whatever you want. So you can use local storage, Azure storage, whatever you want. So look at pricing and stuff. What's more cost effective for keeping older data? Do you want to keep it on a primary tier storage? It costs a lot of money. You keep on something like a cool tier of blob storage up in Azure and stuff like that. So it really depends on what you guys want to do, that kind of thing. And then just we allow full end user recovery on this. So you don't have to call the help desk. You have to do a restore of a file, or whether it be OneDrive or SharePoint or Outlook on there, you can get it back and that kind of thing. So we want to make sure it's simple to do and that kind of thing. I'm just going to skip that one here. Just kind of go right into the architecture, what it looks like. So, and I know I keep talking about it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you here in a sec. So from an architecture perspective, there's going to be, if you're doing SharePoint, if you're doing Exchange, if you're doing OneDrive, all three of those guys, there's going to be a little agent that's going to be sitting on a system somewhere. And it says you can put on a media agent or whatever you want to do. It's just a small little agent that's going to run on there. So the OneDrive agent is called underneath the Cloud app. And then that agent, and these things are very minimal. They don't do hardly anything at all, except just allow talks and calls between the environment and Commvault. And so the Cloud app will do that. There's a SharePoint app. You don't have to have SharePoint on the server. Just put on anything you want. So a SharePoint agent that runs on whatever. That's going to talk into the SharePoint online environment on that. And then finally, the OneDrive is going to be an integration. The Exchange integration is a Exchange mailbox agent that you'll put out there too as well. So protocol-wise, they talk with these, the CSOM, EWS, and Graph. So the EWS is newer for the Outlook, going to Office 365 on that. There are some back-end things you'll need to set up. It's actually pretty simple. In fact, when I was putting all this together a while back, Outlook was probably the most difficult, but it wasn't that difficult. It's just basically setting up a couple of permissions up in Azure on there, and then with the OneDrive and the SharePoint, it was almost scary how easy it was to set up on those guys. So Outlook just took a little bit more time, but it took like 10 minutes. It was pretty fast to get that all set up on that. So pretty easy on there. So those going to be talking via those agents, and then you want to set up a pool of data to wherever you want to put that backup data up those those environments. So do you want to put it locally? Like I said, you want to keep it up in Azure. Do you want to keep it in Azure for a while, then move it down to local, or whatever you guys want to do? It's going to be based on those retention periods on that. And then with the email portion, you're going to set up, there's 3 different things you'll set up. You're going to set the archiving policy. So basically what data you want to collect for archiving. Do you want to do, the inbox, deleted items, all of them, whatever you want to do. And then you're going to set up a cleanup policy. So when do you want the data stubbed on there? Do you want to delete it? You want to have it deleted after a certain amount of time, like 5 years goes away, something like that, that kind of thing. And then finally, what kind of messages do you want to collect? Do you want to collect stuff, just attachments or certain size files or different things on that? Now you can set up different policies for groups of people. So maybe you have those temporary users and you have a different one they want to use for that as opposed to your normal users, whatever you want to do, and you can set that up. And then the other thing I too wanted to point out, and this is something I still see, is PST ingestion. So if you have a number of users out there that are have PST files floating around out there, we can actually grab those guys, pull them back, put them in archive, and then put them according to the actual mailbox user on there, or you can text them admin user, whatever you want to do. So that way you can keep all that data, which a lot of times that PST data is pretty critical out there. And people need it back, or maybe some important documents on there, different things. So we'll be able to go out and grab all the data and put it into the mailbox associated with it, or any admin mailbox or something like that you can put it into. So pretty powerful tool set. We've actually had that for a while.
Yeah. I think that's a really big win, I think, especially customers with a defensible deletion policy, right? You're not supposed to have that data out there after a certain amount of time. So bringing all that stuff in, ingesting it, and then applying your policies to it is a real big win.
Yeah, absolutely. A good deal. And it does work really good. A lot of customers have used it. Once they get it running like that, a lot of times they won't need it after a while because it's already been ingested and turn off the other stuff. But at least it's available there to be able to work with on that. And then finally, let me these are just some things I was going to show, but I'm just going to jump on into the, one thing before I go in there is going to show all 3, but Office 365, this is some of the stuff you can recover. So the documents, the sites, sub-sites, you can back up both on-premise SharePoint Online and also up in Office 365. You can actually migrate if you want to on-premise up to Office 365. Commvault will help you be able to do that. So all kinds of different things you can do within the either up there or with both as a hybrid environment, that kind of thing. So let me jump out into, get out of here real quick.
Hey, Kevin, while you're doing that,
yeah.
Is it safe to say that if you're protecting Exchange on-prem today with a mailbox backup, that really from a Commvault perspective, not a lot changes? It's kind of the same feel and functionality if you're moving to Office 365, right? It's just somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks, well, let me show what it looks like. Yeah, so on here, in fact, I've got my Exchange. I got a local Exchange, and I have one Office 365. So essentially I have a hybrid environment going on right now, and it's exactly the same thing. So let me bring up here, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to bring up my mailbox here in this. And
hold on, what is this interface? This isn't Commvault.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I'm just playing.
Good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So you guys, I know some of the people out there have been using Commvault for a while. This is our old console we're always going to have around. It's still in the background here, but there's a lot of new people on the phone that I've noticed, or at least some new people. And this is our new admin console on here. So you can do things on here that you can on the other one. This is, I think, as a new user coming in, if I was new coming into this thing, this would have been way easier to learn on. It's actually very intuitive. Very much, it's got like little wizards built in and stuff like that. Flows really nice. HTML5 based. And so, I mean, you can still go back to this guide and still use it. I still flip back in there because I can't get my, I've been using it for so many years. I just still go back. But this thing is just really, really simple, and everything flows really nice in this thing. So I wanted to show you from this perspective. I mean, you can still go back and use the other one for anybody that's existing out there, but I want to show you kind of how this works on this side. On that. So good question at the end there. There's a nice dashboard here. I just kind of flipped over, but it brings up everything. So we just want to make sure that you're always aware of what's going on, and a nice, just kind of a user front-end facing thing that flows really nice. That's a lot of words with the word nice in there, but essentially just make sure everything flows easily and works great. So this is the, let me bring up the here we go. So using my screen here. There we go. So pull my little dial down. So in this case, I'm going to bring up the user mailbox here. So you'll see the different users I have. So you can tell this guy and then all these guys are all local. Then I have my other one up here that's using the Office 365 address, which is the Kheiser. I had to make up a really quick domain names, which is, I think it's kind of stupid, the highs, but I couldn't think of anything else with my last name. So anyway,
the highs.
Back up. Yeah, I was just like, okay, quick, think of something. Like, okay, that works. Okay. So, anyway, so on this one, there's a couple things you need to do first of all. So when you have a hybrid environment or you're just going straight to Office 365, you can also use Federation. So if you want to use link your domain at 80 into Active Directory up there in Azure, you can do that too as well. So whatever you guys want to do, there's different ways. I'm just doing a hybrid, so I have two different environments going on essentially on there. But what you want to do is you want to set up some service accounts. This is the 2016 one I have. And then I also, for Office 365 stuff, it's a little bit different. You have to set up two accounts. And this is one thing I'm actually, I just noticed on their console that it's not here, but it actually is an account up on Office Exchange Online. Yeah. I want to point out one thing real quick before I just go off tangent here, but there's a feedback button. If you hit the feedback button, if you see something on there that doesn't look good, hit the feedback button. It's got some info. Just type in some stuff, what you see. It actually is. I found out this literally by talking to the development team. This stuff goes directly to the development on there.
Most definitely.
So they can actually check this out and do it. So a lot of times the feedback is worthless. With Commvault, it's really, really beneficial. So if you have an idea, you know how to fix it. Yeah.
Hey Kevin, we did have a question actually about the HTML5 console and its functionality, and you kind of made the point, but they ask if the HTML console has all the functionality and features of the Java console. The answer is really not really at this point, right? We're at about a 90% solution, with each service pack getting better. In Service Pack 13, they brought in storage and schedule policies, so you can see that previously. You know, if you had storage and schedule policies, they didn't show up there, but they're porting that functionality over there based on on each service pack. And that feedback button is a great point. You know, you say, hey, I need to be able to do this in the admin console, and they'll start working on it. And you know, if you're familiar with your Commvault Cloud reporting, they actually show how many feature requests that you've got requested from development and how many they've implemented. So it's actually keeping a score for you. So cool. I definitely encourage you to hit that feedback button and let them know what you want to do with the not only the admin console but functionality of the product overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Yeah, actually, good question. And so on the 90% thing, I try to comb this thing every time a new service pack comes out and what's in and what's out. So I'd say it's probably about 90%. Yeah, you're right on that. But it's getting there. But I think, well, for Office 365 stuff, you can pretty much do everything on here that I found. I'm trying to think if there's anything else out there I didn't see, but pretty much what you guys would want to do, it's all in here for that perspective on that. And before it wasn't, we actually had a couple service packs ago. They didn't have the OneDrive part quite ready yet and some other stuff, but now it's fully implemented on that. But anyway, so you just basically set up your accounts on this, and once you get that done, now on the back end, let me go into Azure real quick. So if you guys familiar with Office 365, you get an admin account, which you can actually creates an Azure back end account as well. And then primarily all you're gonna be able to do is the Azure Active Directory stuff on here. But what you can do on this, you're gonna set up an app registration. And then the app registration, and Commvault has all the walkthroughs on this too, or support and help you out with this, whatever. But you're going to go in here, and then there's going to be some, essentially some settings you set on the permission side right here. And then it's going to be application permissions, and these are the ones you want to set up to make it all work. And then from a key perspective, you're going to have a key. Now, make sure you write your key down, obviously, because once you get rid of the setting, it's gone. So you can't go back. You have to go ahead and put a new key in. Everything else. So make sure you get the key and you keep that key somewhere, obviously somewhere safe on that. But you're gonna need the key. You're gonna need the directory ID, and you also need the application ID. So the application ID is this guy, this Heis Commvault, and then the directory ID is the top level on it. So once you get all that into place, then you can actually set up how Commvault's gonna be able to talk to this. So like I said, it's a little bit more in depth than it is with the OneDrive and SharePoint Online. but it's still not that hard. It's actually pretty easy to set up. Just follow the walkthrough exactly on that. So once you get that into play, then you can go in the mailbox, and I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. So we'll just do a restore here. So this is all, it actually auto finds everything too as well. So if you want to do auto discover to pick up all the mailboxes, I'm just doing manual on all my guys, so it doesn't really matter on that. And I think I did archive job. Whoops. Sorry. I can do a restore on there where it takes then. But anyway, here's some of the mail you can go to. Let's just go to like send items or something quick on that. We'll just pick something from like last September. So if you want to, you can go here and you can do a PST file restore. You can go back to disk, or you can just go right back to the mailbox on there. If you have another host, you can stick on another host if you want to. But typically it's probably the same one. But just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and delete a job. Now if this an archive job taken, it may kind of mess things up. We'll see what happens. Let's just delete this guy real quick here. And then now, if you go to the recycle bin, it's still going to be in there, but for time's sake, we'll just go back in there. Let's hit submit on that, and you'll see the job. It might take a sec because the archive job's running, but anyway, it's going to run on here. And then while we're waiting for that, we're going to let's see. It usually takes about 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so to come in. Except that archive job's running, so we'll see what happens on that. So let's go into the OneDrive on there and kind of show what that looks like. We're waiting for that. So underneath the OneDrive, there's this Cloud App button. I'm going to bring up this. Now, there's a number of things on here. So if anybody's out there using Google, we can integrate with that. It's got to be the business, the enterprise one. You can't just have an individual mailbox. You can't get into that, but the enterprise you can. And also, this is other stuff. If you've got some databases running in Azure or AWS, you can back those up through here, and also Salesforce. And they keep adding more and more things on here as time goes on to different things. Well, let's go into OneDrive, and I'm going to bring up my OneDrive account. Now, this guy, like I said, all you got to do is add an app. You get the application ID, the directory ID, and the key, and that's all you got to do. There's no back-end permissions you have to add or anything else. It's already been done. So you just basically go in here, you pick this guy, and then it's got some information on here that we're going to be able to show. Like there's my app ID and stuff like that. You can also run auto discovery, so all your OneDrive boxes will be picked up on there, stuff like that. And let's just go in. We'll just dive in one more here, so the subclient level here, and just kind of show what that looks like on that. And you can go in here, and you can. This is my content. So I only have one OneDrive box in there. That's it on that. So let's just bring up a file here on this. So let's dive in here, and let me go back into my. Just find something to take out there real quick here. Yeah, it's going to take a sec because that archive job is still running here. Let's go into OneDrive on that. I shouldn't have been fast on the mouse trigger here. So let's just delete something. So let's delete this guy, the script file here, and let's do a delete on that. And then same thing on here. Just pick what you want. We'll just grab that guy, do a restore on there. And on this one, you can bring back to a OneDrive, or you can bring back to a local disk if you want to on that. Now, if you want, you can also turn these off so you can only do OneDrive, and that's it. You can take all these options away if you want to on that. But we're going to go back to the same spot, so we'll just do a submit button on that. And then if you want to, this is what the jobs look like. So we're going to bring up the job details on this. Now, from here, if you want, you can go in there and you can grab the log files if you need to right there. You can kill it as well too. You can also send them to Commvault if you need to, different things that you can work with.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
So right now you're showing a recovery done by a backup administrator. Is that correct? Even though it's your account you're doing it to? Okay, so could an end user also do their own restore of a OneDrive or an email or anything like that? Or is it limited to just the backup administrators?
No, actually you can. You can actually go out there and recover that. There's a number of ways you can get it. You can get it through the application on the iPhone or Android. You can get it from our web console on here, which I can show you what that looks like here. I'll just log in. I kind of jumped into the admin console directly on here, but an end user would be able to recover their own data through the My Data on this. It's a web console on that, and they can log in the SharePoint. I've got to log in as a different user, but in the essence of time, but anyway, they would just log into here, and they could actually access their own data from the web console or their phone or email. Email is integrated with Outlook, so it's just a little add-in. on that, so they can just recover, bring back data, whatever they're doing, all with an Outlook on that. There's no other
Very cool.
things you have to do special and everything else like that. Yeah. But anyway, so this is on that one. So there's our file back on OneDrive. Let's see if if I did that archive. Let's see if the Outlook kicked in yet. So it was under sent items. And let's go there and let's make sure. Yeah, there we go. So now it's back on there. So it just, I shouldn't have kicked off that archive job. It was trying to do too many things at once. But so that's it right there. And that's, bringing it back on that, from that perspective. Now from SharePoint, what that looks like is I'm going to bring up this. Now, same thing with the email integration. You're going to see all your SharePoint servers in here. So you may have a local one here, or this is Office 365. Now it does still show up as this right here, but it's technically not. So I think they're going to be changing this, I'm sure, on that. So let's dive in one more notch on this. And then what you're going to see on here is when you go down, you're going to see databases. You're also going to see SharePoint Online, Office 365. So let's bring into that. And then from here, all you got to do on this one's a little bit different than the OneDrive and stuff. You're going to have user accounts. You're going to have an Azure account for some storage on there, and then you're going to have your admin tenant ID on here for your SharePoint side on that. So just make sure that that's in there. We have a walkthrough to do everything. So when you go into the default on the subclient to look at the doing a restore on this, we'll bring up this guy. I'll show you all the different things you can do. So this is all my different ones here. Now this is the one I created right here. So let's bring up him, and I'll just show you some of the things you can recover from. So you can get the whole site back if you want. You can bring back your shared documents, age. Just check that. You can do a restore on this. Same thing on this restore. You can go back to the same path if you want to just do ACLs, or you want to do something different. Maybe to a local SharePoint. You can do that too as well. Or you can do a local SharePoint and migrate up to Office 365 if you want to. Set up on that. The one thing I did point out was the backups. So if you do want to do a specific date, I can hit that and they can say, well, let's go back. I need to get that file back from them. And then I can hit OK, and then I can go from there. So same thing with OneDrive and other things. We're going to keep a constant point in time every time we touched it. So you can always go back to that point in time and recover if you need to on there. And with the end user perspective, they'll see a version of it on there. So if they keep changing the file, they add some new stuff to it. We keep all the versions of that file, so they can go back to a previous version if they need to on that. So
that's great. Hey Kevin, we've got a question about SharePoint Online. When we do a backup of that site, does it pull back an entire copy of the site, or is it just the delta changes from the last backup?
Well, it depends. If you're doing the initial one, yeah, it's the whole thing. If you're doing the incremental, once we do a first job, it's essentially an incremental forever after that. So it's just any changes on that.
Sounds great.
That you go back to. Yeah. Now you can, if you want to, you can do a full time if you want to. I mean, it's whatever you guys want to do. But typically, when you set this up, that's how it's all implemented by default. You can always adjust that if you need to. So in a matter of time, I'm going to switch over to. I wanted to show you guys actually, you want to bring up that poll question for the search and e-discovery piece. I think you have a poll question for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you already popped it up. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, but cool. Okay, good deal.
Nope.
So I want to show you
up now.
Okay, cool, man. So just really quick, I'll talk about migration. So if you want to migrate your Office 365 environment up to up there from a local environment, we can actually help you with that. Move it on there. So it really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to do just Exchange? You want to do SharePoint like I talked about it earlier? OneDrive. Obviously, there's not a OneDrive locally, but you can move files up there if you need to. Something like that. We can work with that. But so really, we want to be able to help you not only integrate Office 365 if you want to, but also help you move it up there if you need to on that. And then the last thing I just want to do is the e-discovery and search. So really quick on this slide, once we touch your data, email, OneDrive, anything you have, and locally file systems, whatever, once you touch it, archive or backup, whatever we're doing, we can make an index against that data, so we can actually fully search on it. So that GDPR is going to come into play. But also being able to dive into data like inside of an attachment on a piece of mail, which I'll show you in a sec. Being able to put something in legal hold, end users can log in and be able to find their own data, search on their own data to a very powerful tool set. Stuff like that. We can also keep a journal on the journaling mailbox. So with your use Office 365, they don't have a journaling mailbox. But with Commvault, we can actually create our own SMTP integration that allows you to grab that since all the mail that's been sent out and all the mail coming in, and then pull it back and then index that stuff. So you can't even do that with Office 365. So that's one thing that's very important on there. A lot of people like that, and because somebody were to go in there and delete a file real quick, and their mailbox and your archiving hasn't hit it, and like 10 minutes later, it's gone. This way, the journaling keeps a hold of that, and you can still go back and find that data should you need to on that.
And that journaling mechanism that they're using nowadays is about 10 times more effective than it used to be with the legacy compliance archiver agent. You know, it's just we basically eliminated that MAPI client, which was really the bottleneck in that archive solution. So it's heads and tails above where it was if you were previously doing compliance archiver. That journal mailbox can really keep up with that stuff now.
Yeah, thanks. In fact, if you want to go back to it now, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how fast it is and quick. Actually, I'm running my other lab right now. I got to flip it over to this guy, but it's pretty fast on that. And I still haven't hooked up my Office 365 account, but I am going to be putting that on there. I just only have one mailbox. That's not a lot, but at least I can definitely show it. So let's flip out of here, and this thing is like the longest away. Here we go. So this is going to be a separate console. So what I'm going to do is, so I know we always talk about the one console, everything managed, admin, everything else is fine. But since this is a little bit different, we're going to be having like, legal teams coming in, different things on there. We want to make sure it's kind of separated from that, just because of what's occurring and the importance of the data and stuff like that. So we're going to bring up this. I'm going to log in as this right account, this guy. Actually, it's not. There's my other one. And this one, I'm logging my domain. There we go. So I want to show you.
You spelled administrator wrong.
Yeah.
You got an extra R there.
Yeah, I just got it. Oh, whoops. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
You got an extra R. There you go.
I do. I'm sorry.
Everybody's watching you type. It's hard to type,
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So this is the bar here. Now, there's an advanced search on here. I can look by specific emails, subject matter, and you can do it's all Boolean based. So if you want to do it's got an and, or it's got to be this or that, or it can be and, or, you can do all that stuff with it. I mentioned file systems. This would be kind of more for the OneDrive piece. You can also build a query. There's also languages. So if you've got any customers out there I've only got 3 of them, but you can do Spanish, German, all these other ones out there. But if you're doing that, you can fully search on that stuff as well. Especially for that, let's talk about that GDPR earlier. That's would be very, very helpful and stuff like that with the languages over there. But anyway, let's just do a quick little basic search. I don't want to, you can definitely get this pretty powerful here, but let me go back into my email here. Let's find something with attachment. I think I got something here, somewhere around here. I got an attachment or something, at least I thought I did. Okay. I thought I had something with like a bill or something I had. Or maybe I deleted or something accidentally or something. Yeah, it's a good time to do a restore. Let me see if there was something I had in there. It was an attachment I had with my bill for Outlook this year. And anyway, we'll just do a search anyway. I remember something on there, so I'm just going to type in my address because I know it was on there. And we'll set that. And so what this will do is it's going to go out and scan all the email. In this case, it's just an Office 365 email in this. And it's going to bring up my billing statement. So as you can see, if I bring up the full view here, I don't think my address is anywhere inside this thing. No, it's not. So you can see there's nothing in there with Addenbrook in there. So if I bring up the Office 365 PDF file, which is my bill, there it is right there. Now, normally it's going to show up in yellow. I actually have it turned off right now, but it would highlight yellow if that were the case to look at and that kind of thing. But that's basically a search on there. It's pretty simple, very fast. So we're indexing this all the time. You can also fine tune this. So if you do have a lot of emails are coming back that are all kinds of stuff coming in there, you can adjust it with different things on here that you can work with. You can also create a legal hold off of this if you want to. This system is pretty powerful. So I've talked to lawyers on the phone and with companies out there, and different things. But it's got all the tag sets you can do. They're like, oh yeah, I know what that is, and I'm like, man, I hope you do, because I don't know what some of the stuff was, some of the terms they used in some of these other ones. But it's fully integration for that legal hold capability. And then you can also set up an automated process. So if you do have something that's going on in your company, you can bring up a case manager. You can put all your criteria you did in the search here, add to a case, and then they continuously run from there. And then every time data comes up with that criteria, it flags you, sends you an email. Hey, you got a couple new emails that came in or files. Go take a look at it, and you can look at it, and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty powerful tool set on this. I know this is just mainly from an admin perspective, but I, as a user, can also log into this. It's a little bit lessened, I guess, as a login. So if I log in as like test one user, and I'll just show what this looks like. Oops. And log back in. I just want to show you what the difference. There's a few differences on there. It looks pretty similar on this, but there's a few things like I can't do. So we'll just type in, this is a different user than the other guy, so let's type in Santa. I know I did something with Santa Claus in there. So, but on this, same thing. And this one's, I got the highlighted on the subject here on this one, that's not showing up. But you can actually add it, but there's no legal set on here, no legal hold. It's just basically searching. I can restore, I can do all kinds of things. I can download it, export it out, stuff like that kind of thing. So that's from an end user perspective. If you want to give your end user a really in-depth look at their data, you can give them access to it. Otherwise, you don't need to give them access to it. Just keep it simple. Have them Outlook, have them on the phone, different things, and it's going to be a much easier integrated search they could use. But listen, they can get in there if they want to from this perspective on that. And then also, I'll just do one more thing just to show you, because I got that OneDrive. I know we're getting close on time here, but let's just grab something out of here real quick. There's it's like a Fujitsu machine here. It's just a PDF. I was going to try to find something here and scan.
Hey guys, if you got any questions, go ahead and get them into the Q&A portion of the webinar. We'll make sure to get them answered before we get done.
I'm just going to take a keyword out of here, so we'll just do integrated on there, and let's see. Let's log in. Let's put it back over here, and then we'll just do this. Now this might show up a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it actually had quite a few things pop up in here on there, but anyway, you can go in there and look and see the PDF files. Let's see if it'll pop up on that thing, on that one. And there we go, OneDrive right there. So I've got it's all the different things I have in there. But see, you go in here, and there's your thing right there. Okay, the integrated PDF file works. So I was messing with. So there you go, right there. So integrated shows up in there. That's from a OneDrive file. So we're looking at that. So same thing. This is just basically doing a search. And if you want to add this in with your email you're looking for, whatever you want to do, it'll go out and scan all that stuff out there for you on that. So, like I said, this stuff is one of those things you can kind of talk about for a long time and really get into the weeds on it, but I just want to at least point that out. The last thing I wanted to just really touch on was the licensing on this. Let me just bring up the last screen here. Hold on a second here. So it's all licensed per mailbox. When you say mailbox, it includes OneDrive, it includes SharePoint Online, if you're using Gmail, G Drive, all that stuff. It's just basically a user. So you just count up how many mailboxes you have or users you want to use. That's what you do, and you just purchase it that way. And then if you want to add that in-depth searching out some of that legal hold and stuff, then you attach an activate license to that user to be able to use that piece. Now, you don't need to have it to do backups and do the simpler searches you will with this stuff, but if you want to get that real in-depth, and just add that activate onto that. So I just want to at least kind of give you an idea what it looks like from a. Now, as a new customer, you can just back up this stuff all day long. That's all you have to do. As an existing customer, you can just add. This is just an add-on if you want to add that in your environment. You don't do everybody. You can just do like 10 people or 30 or whatever you want to do. Test it out, and then add in people as you need to. That kind of thing. So anyway, Anthony, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. So depending on the E levels, like if you're an E1, E3, 5 with Office 365, the Commvault licensing to add the compliance and search and everything else is actually going to be less expensive than having to go up a level with Office 365. So we could talk about it specifically for your situation, but it's something to consider. Again, if you're already spending the money on those mailboxes, you might be able to back down to a lower level and have that all done in Commvault, where it can, of course, integrate across your local on-prem file servers, OneDrive, whether you have Google in the mix, Office 365, we can do that compliance and legal hold search across the whole environment versus just little subsets. So
yeah, and everybody's licensing standpoint's a little bit unique too. So those specific questions concerning that we need to talk offline about.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'll just point out one thing for me, just as a customer before, we didn't have this really in place. We had the old fast engine on version 9 and stuff, but we were underneath the FDA. So the FDA was always checking up on us every month, unsolicited, just pop in. And this would have been a nice thing to really have if we'd have had this in there, because it took me a lot of time, as most of my week was digging up information for them. But this is a really, really powerful tool, the searching part. So not only look at Office 365, but anything you have out there.
Yeah,
and be able to pull it up fast and do something with it. So anyway, just point that out. So
I can attest to that too as a former customer. I mean, I had the the compliance index or the compliance search in my environment, and just a matter of being able to whittle down the scope of what you're doing for discovery for external counsel or for the court. If you're going with external counsel, they charge by the gig to comb that data, so that the more pointed you can get your search and your discovery out to them, this thing pays for itself in one court case, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. All right. Well, I think, do we get more questions at all? I wasn't sure if.
I don't have any questions in the Q&A.
All right. Well, cool.
One last
I'll
call
just say a quick wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead.
While we're waiting, if there's any other questions, a quick wrap up is, if you're not protecting your email today, Commvault can do that pretty simply, straightforward. If you have it out a hosted provider, there's some added features that we can provide with Commvault where a backup administrator can do the restores pretty simply. The customers can do their own restores as well, or the end users. And then that gives you the ability to pull that into a legal hold if and when you choose. Again, that activate license that you see on the screen doesn't have to be purchased day one. It can be turned on and activated if you ever have a court case come up. So having the data is obviously the first piece of the puzzle, but again, it gives you some flexibility. So.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Yeah, thanks everybody on the phone for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys coming down.
Yep. Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for attending. We'll be in touch for the next one. And if you guys aren't on the Commvault Tech Forum invite list, please let us know so that, of course, we could get you on that invite list, and hopefully you can come see us in person soon.
And this is Gail with Eagle Technologies, and I also wanted to point out I chatted to everyone, Anthony and Patrick's email addresses. Feel free to reach out to those guys if you have questions, and we can also pass along Kevin's contact information as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.